Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all of the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are well. Today is December 8th, or January 8th, not December 8th, and it is Thursday. Hopefully, all you guys are having a wonderful week so far. Of course, the week is zooming by, which kind of feels crazy, but hey, that's how it goes. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. We're getting super close to 700, so drop a subscribe if you're new and help us get to 700. But if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. All support goes to me, helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, like my clothing, like all that kind of stuff. But with that being said, hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful, and let's get into today's episode. Um, Opening up with our New York Times articles of history, or whatever you want to call it. The topic we have today is a U.S. surplus of $4.2 billion due in budget. So this is from January 8th of 1960. In his last State of the Union address, President Dwight Eisenhower estimated that the budget for the coming fiscal year would yield a surplus of over $4 billion, which, if achieved, would make it the second highest on record. The Times reported, in modern times, the federal budget hasn't seen a surplus since 2001, and it hit an all-time high deficit of 3.1 trillion in the 2020 fiscal year as COVID was raging. In the 2021 fiscal year, the deficit dropped to 2.8 trillion, the second highest ever. So this is, of course, talking about the surplus in U.S. budgets throughout the history of our country, which is a thing we have had to deal with in the history of our country, especially as of late due to COVID. And, I think COVID has been really the big impacting factor in that. There might have been a few other things, but majority of it was COVID, I believe. And we still have a massive national deficit today. I don't even know what it is right now. It's a big number that I don't even want to think about it. But it's something that we do need to fix, that we definitely do need to pay our debt in this country. Who we have a debt to, when every country has a debt to everyone, blows my mind. But hey, we have a debt to ourselves, I guess. Outside of that, though, that's all we have for that one. Let's move into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, the first topic we have today is Trump says Republicans should never hold office again after supporting a war powers resolution. Following Republicans choosing to join Democrats for forwarding a war powers resolution, which we'll talk about here shortly, Trump said on Truth Social Republicans should be ashamed of senators that voted with Democrats attempting to take away our powers to fight and defend the United States of America. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young should never be elected to office again. This vote greatly hampers American self-defense and national security, impeding with the president's authority as the commander-in-chief. In Article 2 of the Constitution, as all presidents and the Departments of Justice have determined before me, nevertheless, a more important Senate vote will be taking place next week on this very subject. Breaking news, Trump is upset that his loyal servants have chosen to support the law. This is truly a horrific issue. I can't believe it. Outside of the sarcasm, this is good. It's a great thing to see that this is happening. And although it probably won't pass the Senate, in fact, it's very unlikely that it will. It's still another sign of cracking under this administration. Hopefully we can soon see an end to this war. Of course, Trump has, gone into this conflict without congressional approval, which is illegal. But it hasn't stopped yet, and hopefully we can see a stop to it soon. In other news, Trump wants to send Greenland residents up to $100,000 of your taxpayer dollars to convince them to join the United States. Trump wants to send $100K to each, Trump wants to send up to $100K to each Greenland resident of your taxpayer dollars in an effort to get them to join the United States. According to The Independent, the White House officials are discussing sending payments ranging from $10,000 to $100,000 per person. This comes as Trump is once again pressuring to take over the country, which Greenland has very clearly been very against. How about instead of sending money to people from another country, we use it on our own country for once? Put that hundreds of thousands into saving up to get our people some free healthcare. Just a thought for you. Would be nice for the government to actually focus on us, rather than spending millions of dollars to bomb another country, or rather than spending millions of dollars and billions of dollars to fund Israel or any other country throughout the world. It would be really nice if we could get some support from our own government for once, but hey, maybe that's just me. In other news, Trump says the only limit on his power is his own morality. Trump told the New York Times that the only limit on his power as president is his own morality, claiming that he doesn't need international law. Trump was asked if there was any limits to his global powers, and he said, "Yeah, there is one thing: my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me. I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people." The limit to his power should be the law, and his morality should be to follow it. This man has killed hundreds of people within the Caribbean, not to mention the land strikes, which are human rights violations, not to mention all of ICE, which is actively committing human rights violations and being propped up by this administration. I mean, the man at the very least is trying to be a dictator in this country, and he needs to be shut down. That's not something this country should be standing for. No kings, no means no kings for a reason. It is bizarre to me that people in MAGA didn't draw the line when he posted AI images of himself as the king of the United States. This man has very clearly made a push to become the dictator of the United States and is very clearly making a push to become the dictator of the United States. And although it may not be 100% the case right now, he is still actively making that push, and he needs to be stopped from that. In other news, talking about ICE, of course, we have a lot to talk about following the murder of Renee Nicole Good. ICE agents blocked a doctor from checking, of course, this victim's pulse. ICE agents blocked a doctor who witnessed the shooting of Renee Nicole Good from taking her pulse after she was shot 3 times. The doctor pleaded with ICE to help the woman, but refused, telling him to back up. ICE claimed it was because that they had people already on the way and that there were medics on scene, but according to witness accounts, they were nowhere to be seen at all for a while, of course. Good's life very well could have been saved by this doctor. Of course, we don't know that, but it very well could have. She was shot 3 times, and then her car crashed into another car. While it was moving, of course. I mean, no doubt, but um, as someone who's raised by first responders, it's part of their duty, to do things like this. This is something that a doctor or a firefighter or any other form of law enforcement, I believe is required by law to do, or else they could face consequences. ICE killed a woman and stopped any possibility of her being saved, which is disgusting, and they should face repercussions for this. We should not allow an agency like this to continue to attack people within this country. In other news, the ICE agent who killed Renee Nicole Good has been identified as Jonathan Ross. The ICE officer who killed or murdered, not killed, Renee Nicole Good has in Minneapolis yesterday has been identified as Jonathan Ross, 43, who has been listed as living near an army base near Fort Bliss in New Mexico. In a statement on it, J.D. Vance called the situation a making of the far left, blaming it on Good herself, even though she was the one shot 3 times for complying with the law. Every angle of this incident shows this ICE officer getting in her car's way and aiming his gun into this woman's vehicle, straight at Good. She let people through. She even let ICE agents drive through, motioning with her hand, and they shot her in cold blood for absolutely nothing. ICE is a terrorist organization who continues to prey on communities throughout the United States, and they need to be shut down. That organization has the blood of many, not just Good here on their hands, but many. And that is inexcusable. No organization, no agency should be allowed to kill anyone as they please. Anyways, moving on into our other news segment today, where we have quite a few topics. The Senate has voted to block Trump from attacking Venezuela. The Senate has advanced a war powers resolution that should block the Trump administration from using U.S. forces against Venezuela unless he has congressional approval. A small group of Senate Republicans have joined Democrats in advancing a vote at 52 to 47. If the Senate approves this measure, it needs to pass the House as well and be signed off by Trump. Previous resolution so far has failed, so it is very possible that this one will as well. So this is some breaking news, and we'll talk about this next. But hopefully, this doesn't fail because this conflict needs to be stopped. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Trump will likely veto this. And the Senate would need to drop or would need two-thirds majority to stop that, which they don't have. We already know that they don't have that. Hopefully, something magical happens here, but at this point, I honestly doubt that. But we do have some breaking news coming in out of Portland, Oregon, where two people were shot and wounded by federal agents just now. This is an article from CBS posted um, essentially now. We'll read this right now and we'll talk about this, and there will be a full discuss over it in tomorrow's episode, of course. But this is breaking news, and we're going to talk about it. Two people were shot by federal agents in Oregon on Thursday. The Portland Police Bureau said in a statement that the FBI Portland's office said the shooting involved Customs and Border Patrol agents. Two people, a man and a woman, were wounded and hospitalized. Police said in a news release they were not identified and their conditions are unknown. The shooting occurred around 2:20 p.m. local time. Portland Police Chief Bob Day said in a statement, "We are still in the early stages of this incident. We understand the heightened emotion and tension many are feeling with the wake of the shooting in Minneapolis, but I am asking the community to remain calm as we can learn more." The shooting comes, of course, after Renee Good was killed. The story is developing and will be updated. This is big. Another person has been murdered as the result of ICE agents here. This is breaking news that we are talking about on the show right now as it is being recorded. ICE agents have killed two more people in Portland, Oregon today. And it's something that we will talk about tomorrow as the situation develops. I mean, this is a massive deal. ICE agents have killed a total of 3 people in the past 48 hours. Of course, we don't know if these people are US citizens, but they very well could be as well. This is a problem. ICE agents should not be killing anyone. And if ICE agents are killing US citizens, they've already killed one. If ICE agents have killed two more US citizens, we have a problem in this country. I mean, breaking news on this show. Two more people have been killed. If you don't see ICE as a problem after that, you got some issues that you need to figure out for yourself. In other news, Denmark has said that they will attack if the United States invades Greenland. Danish soldiers have been given the order to shoot first and ask questions later if the U.S. military invades Greenland. The Danish Defense Ministry has confirmed the existence of a 1952 rule requiring soldiers to immediately counter forces without awaiting orders. The Defense Ministry said this rule, of course, remains in force going forward. I would hope so. I would hope they get European support as well. If any country is invaded, I expect them to retaliate. We don't know if a conflict will happen here, but Denmark has been very clear that Greenland is going absolutely nowhere. We are not taking Greenland anytime soon. And if Trump does try and take action there, I hope that Trump has action taken against him, because this is not something that should be allowed. We've tried appeasement. We tried it in World War II with Adolf Hitler. It didn't work. And I don't think we should be trying appeasement here. In other news, a congresswoman has filed articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem following the shooting that took place. Illinois Congresswoman Robin Kelly has announced articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem. Kelly said in a statement, "I've had enough. Noem has turned ICE into a rogue force violating the Constitution, tearing families apart, and leaving death in her wake. From Chicago to Minneapolis, her recklessness cost lives, including Renee and Nicole Good. This isn't just dangerous, it's impeachable. I'm fighting back. Noem should be removed from office along with anyone else in this administration." Oh, this is my statement, sorry. "Noem should be removed from office along with anyone else in this administration." Should have changed my tone of voice there, I apologize. And I should be shut down as well. This administration has attacked our country. It really has. It has put every American at risk, whether it's from RFK, whether it's from Donald Trump, whether it's from ICE itself, which should not be stood for. Fuck Trump and fuck his administration and fuck ICE on top of that. They all need to go. They're all a problem, and they are all actively putting Americans at risk in one way or another. In other news, mass anti-ICE protests have erupted across the United States. Protests have erupted across the country following the death of Renee Nicole Good. People have taken to the streets in Minneapolis, Chicago, New York, Oakland, Washington, D.C., Portland, and even Anchorage, Alaska, and many more throughout the country. The sentiment at these have been to spread the name of Good and to speak out against fascism and the Trump administration in its entirety. This is going to be expected. People weren't happy the last time officers killed someone either, which is a good thing. You shouldn't be happy when law enforcement kills someone unwillfully or, unjustly. especially now. We just talked about the fact that 2 more people have been killed by ICE agents. Something needs to be done here. We must not accept what ICE has done, or the fact that it has killed an innocent woman and 2 more individuals. I'm sure, per usual, these protests will expand over the next few days and gain more traction over the next few weeks. And I hope something can be done to stop ICE. In other news, Minnesota investigators have said that federal law enforcement will not give them access to shooting evidence. The federal government is blocking Minnesota investigators from having access to evidence on ICE and the shooter that killed Renee Nicole Goodman. Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension said that the FBI has denied access to case materials, scene evidence, or investigative reviews, and said that we cannot meet the investigative standards of Minnesota law enforcement or public demands. For a government that claims to be very transparent with, all of the things that they do, with this and the Epstein files, they really do not seem to be in the slightest. It's almost like Trump and his administration are lying about the situation. Oh wait, they do that all the time. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Don't forget, ICE killed this woman in cold blood yesterday, and they are actively preventing information from being provided to the people who are supposed to investigate this incident. That's a big deal. That's something that needs to be discussed. They should not be denying this information to prosecutors. This is information that should be allowed to be reviewed. And the fact that they are denying that is suspicious in its own right. In other news, the House has failed to override Trump vetoes on unanimous Republican-led bills. The House has failed to override Trump vetoes on 2 GOP-sponsored bills, both of which passed unanimously in the House and the Senate. These bills would have given southeastern Colorado a water pipeline, and another would have given and I'm probably going to pronounce this horrifically wrong, and I apologize for that, the Mikoski tribe control over a portion of the Florida Everglades. Both failed to pass following Trump's veto. The Colorado one failed to pass at a 248 to 177 votes, and the Florida one failed to pass at a 236 to 188 vote. How do you fail to override a veto on unanimous bills? Not only that, but both of these bills are positive things and were sponsored by Republicans. Not to mention, these bills would have brought clean water to communities and restored stolen land to natives communities. Yet, Republicans seemingly didn't vote for them when they were sponsored by Republicans. I truly hate how this country runs. I truly hate how this country functions. It needs to be changed. The idea of the United States being the land of the free, being the land of the American dream, being the land where you can be free and live your life the way you want to be, that is an amazing idea. That is a beautiful idea. But the way that people in this country, the way that the political leaders, the way that the elites go about running this country is insane, and it needs to be changed. It is insane how this country is ran. We should not be running the country the way we do. I mean, these were Republican-sponsored bills. And because the Trump administration, no. And because Trump vetoed these bills, they didn't get any support from Republicans after they were sponsored by Republicans. Isn't that crazy? If that isn't crazy to you, what is going on, dude? This is a clear sign that Trump has the final say when it comes to the GOP. This is a clear sign that Trump has complete and total control over a political party, and that is a problem. That is not something that should be accepted or okay. And the fact that this administration and the fact that the GOP has been allowed to do this for as long as they have is inexcusable. The people need to make a statement here, and the people need to make a decision here. And I know MAGA is going to make their comments in this comment section of this video and say that I'm a dumbass and, I'm on the wrong side of things. But, I'll see you all in 10 years when all of you want to say that you never supported this in the first place, when all of you wanted to say that you were never wearing the red hat. I'll see you guys in 10 years. In other news, moving on into our final topic for tonight, the House has passed an ACA extension. 17 Republicans have joined Democrats in passing legislation that would bring back the Affordable Care Act for the next 3 years. in a 230 to 900 or 196 vote. Holy dyslexia! I apologize. This vote has advanced the bill. While many believe that this will die in the Senate, some Republicans hope it will lay groundwork for a bipartisan agreement. Representative Rob Bray said the Senate could put together a product that could ultimately get sent back to the House that we can conference on and hopefully move across the finish line. This is absolutely good news, and hopefully it leads to something. I mean, most Americans in this country can't afford healthcare on their own. I mean, which is a problem in itself. But the fact that, in fact, most Americans actually struggle to pay for their own healthcare. It's why so many of us get it through their jobs. Which is also a problem. Thankfully, jobs provide healthcare, but like, if something is necessary for your life, if something is necessary to keep yourself alive, it should be free. you know. But hey, that's just how the capitalist cookie crumbles in this country. Screw the system. This shouldn't be an issue in the first place. Healthcare should be free. Fuck the U.S. government for doing all of this. Fuck the corporate elites for doing all this. Fuck all the people who have all the money. Fuck all the 1% for controlling all of this. Healthcare should be free. I know I already said that. And fuck this country. In theory, it could be such a great place, but it's controlled by Israel and the corporate elites. Thank you to everyone. Have a good night. Thank you to everyone for enjoying this episode. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month. All funds go to me. Helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in this country, like my groceries, like my clothing, like my bills, like all of that. We're out here building a political platform. My goal is to become a representative after I graduate college. Bray 2030. Don't forget it. Don't wear it out. I will see you all then. With that being said, I'll see you all tomorrow in the next episode. Later, guys. Have a good one.